Math 1314, Tyler Junior College, Section 2.3, Linear Functions and Slope. In the previous video, we found the point-slope form of a line given two of its points and ran into a slight dilemma when we set up point-slope form. Which point did we use? We actually used both and the equations looked different, but upon solving each one for y, they ended up being the same. And in analyzing the graph of that equation, we learned something about the numbers in that equation. Specifically, in case you forgot or didn't watch the video, when we wound up with y equals negative 1/3 x plus 7, we knew the slope was negative 1/3. We had calculated it earlier, and then discovered and verified that the number at the end was the y-intercept. Visually, across the y-axis is 7. Algebraically, if you're on the y-axis, that means you didn't move left or right, which means your x-coordinate is 0. And if we put 0 right here, we get y equals 7. So we had a lot of evidence to suggest that this last number was the y-intercept, and it is. And this leads to what's called point-slope form. No, it doesn't. Slope-intercept form. If a line has slope m and the y-intercept is b, now just a comment, the y-intercept could be given to you as a single number, but keep in mind that it's associated with the ordered pair 0, b. So you can look at it from both perspectives, as a number on the y-axis or an ordered pair on a coordinate plane. Now the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line is y equals, well, let's make it generic. Here the slope was negative 1/3, but generically it's m. So instead of negative 1/3 x, mx plus. Here the y-intercept was 7, but generically it's b. So y equals mx plus b. Now, because this equation says y equals, we can easily write it in function notation by simply changing the y to f of x. So in function notation, it's f of x equals mx plus b. This type of function is what's known as a linear function. Any function of this form or equivalent to this form is a linear function, and its graph will be a line. That's a line. That's great information to know in advance if we're graphing a function. Oh, it's a linear function, we're expecting a line. Now, speaking of graphing a linear function, before we move forward, let me put slope-intercept form, henceforth abbreviated SIF, over here. Y equals mx plus b. Dang, I was in the middle of a transition and I lost it. Function. Oh yeah, if we're given a function and we notice that it's a linear function, we can expect its graph to be a line. So speaking of graphing a line, let's take a look at an example of graphing something in slope-intercept form. Oh, by the way, I kind of mentioned this in the previous video without alluding to slope-intercept form, but you might want to take note of this. If you're building an equation and you want to end with